All right. So here we go. We got the October 2024 champion, BigShoota. This is gonna be a quick interview. Thank you for being here, Shooter.
Thanks for having me.
I know that
Um, yeah,
I'm taking up a little bit of your time here, but we're gonna make
cool.
the best of it. So, um, October 2024 being the first official Smogon, um, like in not Smogon, but in the Showdown ladder, pretty huge deal, I would say. Um, pretty pretty sure all the mods from the 35 pokes community is like excited about that we managed to get there at this point. And
Yeah,
I
I
want
mean,
how do you feel about that being the champion, or just let's first get that out of the way. Like how do you feel that it finally got into Showdown?
I think from being there since October last year, it's crazy to see how far it's come. Like I think I actually asked the mods about that. Like, oh, would it be ever possible to have a ladder? And they're like, oh, probably not. Maybe on like another server like Dawn or something like that. But to have
Right.
it on the official Showdown website is pretty cool. So I think being the champion is cool as well, but for it to be, you know, the first person to win the month of it being on the ladder, I think is also pretty cool. Um,
It's kind of like a
but
fresh start, right?
yeah, but I think what honestly, if it wasn't for the online ladder, I don't think I would have done as well as I wanted to in the
You would say
in
that
the
the
month.
latter contributed to, like, let's say, practice,
I think
or
it's a lot easier because you can just click load, like load a game, and then you find someone, or you just wait for a couple minutes. I don't know what it is, but I like find matchmaking through Discord is actually I don't know. You kind of have this suspense if someone's going to respond back to you or not,
right?
and then you're like, oh, and then you start doing some other things. Whereas when you're locked in, and if you don't want to find a game, then you just click cancel. I don't know. It's really hard to explain, but I just felt it was a lot easier to play games when it was on the ladder compared to the Discord server.
Probably because you're forced to play a match once the game starts on its own. So yeah,
Yeah,
there's
and
also that
then
aspect. It just makes it more
yeah,
forced. Like once you decided, you know what, I want to play, you go ahead and click and it starts.
yeah. I think my main account, um,
But
I
would you?
started to do quite. You go.
Mm-hmm. No, go ahead.
I started to do quite well. Um, I think I won 20 games and then lost three. And then I was like, oh, I'll just keep going. And then I just kept trying to preserve the record. And the thing is, when I had like 10 minutes spare time, I would just load up a game. Whereas I just feel like going into Discord and then at Gladiator and then waiting a couple minutes and then you don't know. Whereas it just seemed like a better system to have like an online ladder in regards to getting more information in terms of how the meta is based. It's hard to put it into words. I guess like once you have done it, then you know it's a lot more smooth,
Right.
basically. And the team I know now, which is so much better as well. And I think that's why this month as well to be able to use like we did have the Chrome extension, but now we can actually just go into Showdown and it's
And it's right
perfectly
there.
aligned under that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah.
That was always the hardest thing, team building. because you got to go back to Discord, look at that, and
I,
yeah,
I
it would
find
take
it
a lot of time, especially if you're on mobile. To you
I,
go,
I find it very interesting that you say that the ladder helped you a lot with the October, because it's funny that in my approach for 35 pokes in tournament, it's I like to watch replays.
yeah,
And not many people were uploading their replays with October. So it was like, okay, I need to watch the very few ones that are up and just watch them live
yeah,
while they're actually happening for me to get the info that
yeah,
I'm looking for. Because I'm very, like, I observe first. I hate playing blindly. So,
yeah, I,
yeah, I just, for me, my brain, it finds it interesting. Because with the ladder, it's like, okay, you just play through practice, right? But then there's also you get to play people who have or sorts of team building styles, which it's good, right? But in other instances, it's like, but they're not really building to win in a tournament, as
yeah,
as it traditionally has been with 35 pubs of the Discord. You know, people are trying to build their team and
yeah,
fine tune their team for the tournament rather than be like, all right, let me just slap in a freaking shit ninja and see if it works. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, I get you. Like there's the pros and cons, and I find it very fascinating, right? Um,
yeah. I
so
think the meta helped too,
yeah,
if that makes sense.
like
Like the
speaking of
poke,
the
like
meta, like what are your thoughts on October, like, in general, like the mons in it, the type of play style?
I honestly think, like low key, it's like top three
Top three,
of all time because the power level isn't too low,
right?
and then the the level that's high can be counted as well. So, and you could use it's like it's kind of funny. The other October 2023, like Greg B or whatever, um, you can use every single Pokemon in that meta on any team, and then it's viable. And I
Huh.
feel like with 24, it was the same. Whereas
October
I feel like
B.
every other meta, yeah, I feel like every other meta you can use it. It's like you can only use like 20, and then there's kind of like 10 or 15. If you are using them, then it's shit. If that makes sense.
Right.
It's like a um, you could be experimental if that makes sense, and then that's me kind of kicking my ass because I use it pretty much the same team the whole time, but I used the same team the whole time because I wasn't losing with the team. So I was like, if I'm not losing with it, and I just kept refining it each match, depending on who I was playing, I think then it would be, uh, you know, me saying that you can use anything in the meta, but there was a standout six or standout nine, I would say. Like people, the best about the start of the meta was everyone's like,
Bisharp.
I said, yeah, Bishop, and then I said Stunfisk is good, and everyone's like, you're an idiot.
No, no, no. They're idiots. No.
Yeah, and they thought I was trolling too. I was like, no, it's actually good. It's like the only Honchko check, which I honestly think was more broken than Bishop. And
Yeah,
there was like
Honchko definitely
one,
puts more pressure.
yeah, like because it can be good early game and it can also be good late game. And I honestly think the MVP of the meta was Sylveon as well because it could wish pass. And the problem is there wasn't a lot of recovery in the meta. So, and everything wasn't frail too, but could hit hard. So you always had the opportunity to pass, if that makes sense. Like the only things that were kind of frail would be like Zoroark or Porygon. Oh, but everything else you could kind of switch into a wish and go from there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Most
but
of the list was somewhat usable, I would say.
yeah,
Like if you
yeah. If
had
you look back on
the game
everything,
plan for it, definitely.
yeah.
Except for Viper. I'm
But
sorry. Oh.
no, honestly, you could get away with that as well. I saw someone
Someone
because there
said
was webs,
webs. Oh,
so webs, and then like coil. Um, you could do fighting coverage, dunk shot, and sucker punch, and it would actually do well into the meta if you look back on it.
what fighting coverage does it get?
I think break break,
Break
but
break.
otherwise earthquake's fun. I think earthquake might also be better.
Yeah,
But what I liked in the meta too was like sucker punch. There was a lot of mind games with that, and people were
definitely,
complaining about that.
definitely.
But my favorite part of it was that all the sucker punch users had pursuit too. So they expected you to like sucker punch, and they would switch out, and you could sometimes catch them with a pursuit. So it was like you're always thinking in three different approaches rather than just play around sucker punch, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of
Oh,
layers to the decisions that you had to make.
yeah.
Definitely.
Um, I think sucker punch kind of defined the meta too. Because I ran Embor when it became like Scarf Embor. Um, so you needed something that would outspeed the meta, like if that makes sense. But there's also a dark resist. The only other Pokemon would be Bishop. If that makes sense.
It's funny that you say that because I was thinking you need a status absorber in every team because of Sanaconda.
Yeah,
I
but
or even
I
Stunkfist because
never
of
used it.
Static. I mean, you had
Yeah,
Stunkfist, so Stunkfist was basically filling in for the Sanaconda. But
yeah,
in your own teams, like you would have most players. I would say, like if they want to have any kind of success in October, they needed to have something to deal with the glare.
Got a whole lot of gear though.
yeah. I
Uh,
think you needed something to deal with Honchkrow. Otherwise, you would lose.
you would need someone to deal with Honchkrow. I also think you needed something that would not get you obliterated by Embor.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why Blastoise
and then yeah,
and Blastoise was so good too because it could fit so many roles at once.
yep, yep,
It could be the Embor switch in, the spinner. Um, you could pair Blastoise with a pursuit user for like all the ghost types. So I ran like Spadef, Honchkrow. It could live like a timid Gengar sludge bomb, like a 3 hit KO. And then it was Insomnia. So you could use that switching on a Mungus as well.
yeah. Honchkrow and
So
Magmortar with the sleep immunity.
yeah. But in the end I changed the team a bit more. I actually dropped Honchkrow for Mungus in the later rounds because Snorlax was such a problem, which everyone was ripping off who had been knocked out of the tournament, but everyone that's still in the tournament was like, yeah, Snorlax is locally broken. That makes sense.
I see the Victory Road team. So you use that team, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. So
tall.
tell me about the team specifically.
So I'm using my. I'm not looking at anything. By the way, I'm like memorizing everything.
Yeah, that's fine.
So Bishop. Um, so basically the whole game plan was Snorlax is the only thing that can really break the team. Um, and Amoongus could just clear Smog. And Python loved it because so you could outspeed Snorlax because it's the same speed tier. So I'd put like 8 speed EVs in, or then it would always outspeed Snorlax and you could spore it. And then Sludge Bomb, Clear Smog, and then eventually you get it down um, to like 30-40%. Um, and then it would rest. And then you go to Bishop, and then you sub while it's having its first rest turn, and then you get to +2, then you get to +3, and then you sweep the team. So it was like a planned out thing. And if you could sub on a Moongus as well, which was common, and you could get +2 or +3, you could sweep the team. Because the thing is, Sandaconda, even though it's like his death, still drops to adamant because everyone was running Jolly, and that would survive +2 knock into other knock. The adamant wouldn't. Some people were like running Jolly Sandaconda to um to outspeed Jolly Bishop, but I didn't really think that was too good. Yeah, it was fun. But this still good. Yeah, I think so. Oh, right,
Yeah.
speaking of someone. Um, yeah, and then Embor just save like, and that with wish support is really
What's
good.
what set was your board?
Um, did you see it?
What set was it? Do you remember by any chance? Like, was it like a scarf,
Yeah, I
bandit,
do. Scarf. So I
scarf?
had 3 attacks, 3 move slots on it. Because I want you to guess if you didn't see it, it's all good. Thanks. Um, so it had sleep talk. So the only other 2 moves were close
Oh,
combat
okay.
and flare blitz. And I think it was versus someone. I think Quack, and he spored Embor and then switched to Hunch Crow on CC, and then it dropped, and then I think he lost the game because of that one turn.
That's actually funny.
But I don't think I used it later on. Like I didn't use that situation, but it was just there because the only move you really need is flare blitz and close combat. I mean, you can use wild charge, but I realized that a lot of the time they would switch into Sandaconda anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of the sleep talk turns were wild charge, and then they would switch to Sandaconda. So I just dropped it in the end, and rather have because I'd only click the other 2 moves. The only other thing I could think of would be like Noivern, but that would still get to it KO'd. But the problem with Scarf Embor is that it gets outsped by timid Noivern. But
Yeah. Wyvern is a
yeah,
tricky counter because with max speed it outspeeds Scarf anyways. But then there's
yeah,
also defensive Wyvern, specifically for Embor, and it actually lives. It's a 3 hit KO. So
yeah.
um
Normally they would. defensive, but I didn't see too much of it.
Yeah.
And
So
the thing is, Sylveon can switch in every time on Noivern. So you could just go give it to Sylveon on Noivern
there's
with
a
the
there's a
wish.
there's a lot of that.
Yeah,
There's a lot of momentum sync in October, I would say. Like
yeah,
one mon invites another,
yeah.
which is why
I
Vikavolt
think,
was actually pretty decent. Like Bull Switch is
yeah.
so
I
bangable.
actually, yeah. I think I'm gonna wrap it up in 5, but
All right.
basically, so if you want to ask anything else, but
Yeah, we can wrap it up in
yeah,
5.
I'd be
That's enough time.
I'd be happy to do like a VR too that you could put in at the end.
Nah,
But
don't worry about it. So, um, let me ask you. Um, Now that October is done, right? Um,
yeah,
I want to see. Do you see yourself? Let me rephrase that in my mind real quick. So now that October is done, right, and now that we have the team builder in Showdown,
yeah.
um, do you see 35 pokes coming back up in Smogon as a
I think you
official
need a bit
ladder?
more pop. I think you need it like a Uber's UU situation where you need like a bigger content creator to kind of highlight it, if that makes sense.
Right.
So it needs to become popular, if that makes sense. And I feel like it is, but I kind of like that it isn't. Because, and I think all the tournament organizers too like that it isn't too. Because I was like, oh, when it first started, like last October, we had like 16 people, and now we have 32. But I think having so many people at once,
Oh, oh, I see you muted. Well, um,
yeah, sorry.
oh, there you go.
Um, yeah, sorry, I had to talk to someone.
That's cool.
Um, what was it called? Yeah, I think it just needs to be popular again, or like I guess it's popular on like r/Stunfist now. Like people know what the metagame is. It's just a matter of it's weird. I honestly don't know. It's all whoever runs Showdown. It's up to them.
It's
And I think if
I think it
we
comes
get
with the
enough
season
people, yeah, we had that, but I don't know how much of a hassle it is for them
because I mean
to put it
even just with
like
the
update it
Discord,
every month.
there's been a couple booms, right? And
Mm,
you've seen I think all of them, right?
yeah,
So I mean I joined in one of those booms. I mean I literally joined towards the end of April. Um,
yeah.
which is funny that you mentioned in our conversation earlier. Z Hunter or Hunter Infected. I keep saying his name weird. Hunter
Yeah.
Z Infected.
Oh,
um,
from his video.
yeah, I actually just discovered that, and I just okay join, and then ever since I'm just like, hey, bah. I won
Yeah.
the May format. May I freaking love that format. Um,
I
I'm
didn't really
excited
like
for
May.
it to join. I'm excited for that to be rolled in the trios tournament.
Yeah.
If it makes it, it looks like it
You got
will.
to play February. February's the best.
I gave February a try in some people's challenges. I feel like I just have to
Yeah.
do a deeper dive, but I think
Yeah.
I could see the appeal in February, and it looks like it might be. winning also in the trio selection.
Yeah, but I think that's my favorite.
That's your favorite?
I think October 23 was my favorite, but after playing it a lot, I don't know. Yeah, but we had like the dock too before. We had the Clodbot um and the dock. It was like there was one section. It was like win rate, like Pokemon with the highest win rate, and then in 23 I got like Luminion. No one was using it, and then I got it to like 80% win rate. So there was like some cool stuff in the past, and then I think that's why I liked the meta so much. Because I got Luminion to 80% win rate when everyone was calling it trash, and I was like, look, it's got the highest win rate out of everything in the meta, and you had to get a minimum of 20 games for. So I had to play 20 games with Luminion. So that was a lot of time and effort. But yeah, it's cool. I think May was pretty fun, but it was cool. It was like kind of similar to this meta where the power level's so low. That
You're
makes
talking
sense.
about November.
May.
May with November or May with October?
Oh no, with November. Did I say October?
Because you say this, so I'm just to clarify,
Okay.
just to
Sorry.
clarify for the people
Yeah, it's
listening.
getting confusing now where you have to say 20, you have to say 24 at the end.
24 now. Oh gosh.
Yeah, and 23. So November
November
24 with Pinsir and Serena.
Yeah.
And then May, it's like I feel like the power level was pretty low too.
Definitely.
And it was like pretty organized.
Yeah, November is like you got clearly like 7 top months, and like May was pretty much the same thing. You got like your top 9 with the obvious 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it's cool to see. It's kind of like everything's new too in November 24.
definitely, it's it's freaking bugs.
Yeah, like Galvantula we've had a couple times, but everything else is pretty fresh.
I mean, we have apparently had Terminator before, and this is the first time that Terminator finally does something.
I swear we didn't. I just can't. I think maybe really early, like maybe September 23. But I can't think of another time.
I think
that it was
Terminator was
that
in
we
the
had
very
it.
first meta, August 23.
Yeah, I think we had August. So we had September 23. I didn't do it, but
yeah, that's the point.
everyone thinks August is the first, but I think we had September too. But no one knows what September was. September's like, I don't know, I haven't seen anything of it, basically.
Yeah.
But I think that's the first ever month, and I think they only had like what, like imagine you started a server by scratch and then tried to get people to join.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of put it into perspective how many people were there. But I think it's a really cool concept, and because it's not like the current meta where it's like it's not I guess it can be constantly evolving, but it's not just churning every month, if that makes sense. And I feel like there's some metas that haven't been fully explored. I think every meta hasn't been fully explored yet. That makes sense.
I agree. I mean, with so much depth that I put into May, for example, like I'm like, there's so much more that could be done with Dusknoir, Arbok, Hitmonchan.
Yeah,
like I'm looking at
I remember Hitmonchan,
and I'm like, those guys are like the underdogs.
Yeah, I will say, I put a lot of time and effort into September, or even honestly, September had a lot
24,
to work
23.
on. 24. With the hail,
The
I
hail
felt like
team.
rain. It was kind of, yeah,
Yeah, that was an
yeah.
interesting month.
But I feel like, yeah, I actually enjoyed it. Um,
That's good.
but yeah, I think semis I loaded up the wrong team, and yeah, you needed a Rodom on every one of your teams, otherwise Crocodile would sweep you. But if you look at October, I actually feel like that was one of the reason why I enjoy it so much is because I feel like I worked it out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I explored it to its depths, but there's still more to work with. Like you can only do so much in a month, if that makes sense.
I totally agree. In fact,
Yeah,
with every person that I spoke with, like the champions,
yeah,
the common theme is that they unlocked the meta, if that makes sense. Like what you're saying. Um, like
yeah,
you got it down packed to what it needed to be at that point, and you just did what you had to do. There's no way that hacks is gonna
yeah,
make you lose, and you won.
yeah,
Like no room for a
yeah. I feel like there
chance.
was never. I feel like there's always. I. This is not me being mean. Like I feel like the winner always has a clear win. I think
Yes,
besides April, where it was Porto versus Shifty,
definitely.
there's always
That
been
was a
like a
huge back and forth.
yeah. But I can't think of like a back and forth win. Normally it's like I think honestly September. I think
That went to game
with
take
Cruz
five,
and
right? Game five.
yeah, I think so. I find it yeah. Like the thing is, I don't like bringing the same theme, but I just feel like because I unlocked in quote the meta.
Nothing
Um,
could beat it.
yeah, like
Right.
I knew all the nooks and crannies, but yeah, I think unless we don't get a ladder again, I don't think I'll probably put as much time and effort. Because my work's very seasonal and it's going into summer now, so I don't think I'll have any time until May again next year. But I guess we'll wait and see.
Oh well, I appreciate your
So
time, Shooter. I know that
thank
you
you.
said that
Thanks for having me.
had to go. I'm very honored
Yeah,
that you actually accepted to do this interview in the first place. Um,
yeah, it's all
and
good. Thanks for
just
having
want to
me.
say again to congratulations. What is that?
Thank you.
Four championships now?
For
Four.
and yeah, another fun fact is I've only lost to the champion of the month. So if you lose to me in I think it's happened 5 times. If you lose to me in the tournament, you're most likely going to win. If you look at the statistics.
As in, like, let's say if I were to match up against you in pools, and I lost to you in
Yeah,
pools. Okay.
maybe bracket
If
in
bracket has
in bracket.
losers.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah.
So there you go. So if you knock me out, if that makes sense,
I'll take that.
but we'll see. But I don't think I've played you yet.
Me? No. You always evade me in every single bracket. Every
Yeah,
single
I think on
time.
purpose.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah,
Dude, I what was it? I think it was July. And I was the one who screwed it up. It's alright.
yeah.
Whatever. Um
Did we play each other in July?
maybe we did
No.
like ladder when you're getting like heated up, or like not heated up, warming up. But
Yeah,
I don't think we ever like in the actual tour. We were literally next, and then I lost.
yeah,
And it was early on. It was like top
yeah,
16.
yeah,
So.
yeah. I lost to Hunter in
Mm-hmm.
July. Yeah, I found this like Oreo Choreo set, and I was like, oh, this is like I'm not gonna tell anyone about it. And then I don't know. I hadn't worked out the meta enough yet, but I
No,
knew
I
Hunter looked like he was gonna roll.
I worked out the meta in July, but
I
then
will say July. There you go.
yeah, no, July was a mess. The whole +10, I mean +12 was just why.
Yeah. Well, we did that. We did that in October. Yeah. Oh, that was weird. I don't even know how we got to do that.
I
Honestly, we had two tournaments in 1 month. Um.
That was just
Yeah.
like
Yeah. What was I gonna say before I go? In July, I think that can be looked at because I think there should be 3 more bans for July because the meta is not good,
July
in my opinion.
24 needs to ban Palmot because
Or more,
Palmot was essentially like the troublemaker of the whole format. It's not like, oh, this is the what the mod that centers around. It's more like this is the mod that's
yeah.
dictating the format. Like
But
there's no center.
I
It's
think,
it's literally like, no, you do what I say.
yeah, I think Cloister. No one agrees with me, but Cloister should be banned.
I would agree with you.
Um,
I would agree with you.
and Slow King, low key. But if you ban, the thing is, it's if you ban Slow King, Tormod's not broken. But if you ban Slow King, oh, then Tormod's fine. It's like
I don't know
because
about
the
that.
two the two of them together, like Future Sight makes Tormod broken, but Slow King's not broken if you ban Tormod. So it's like
Palma
it's a weird one.
Palma by himself, even without future sight. The
But
fact
then you
that
have Chestnut, and
Chestnut
then
is the only one,
everything.
and it still gets to
Yeah,
KO, especially if like it happens to be adamant. Like it's like no, like
yeah. I don't know.
there's no real good switching. There just
Yeah,
isn't.
no. But I'm gonna go now. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what I'll say. But I'll also say is that me and Shifty were tying 3 wins. And then I got number 4. So
So
I'm waiting for Shifty to get number 4, and then I'll try and get number 5.
I wonder if the crease is gonna go back into the race.
He's on number 2. He could have got number 3 in September, and then Turtle beat him. So we were about to all be on number 3.
Mm-hmm.
So
One of these days I'll join
yeah,
the two champ club. Maybe. We'll see.
well, you just need to win 2 months, and then you'll be at number 3.
Oh boy.
But
We'll see.
yeah, all right, I'm gonna go.
Go ahead, brother. Have a good night, man.
All right, see you, Mambo.
See
Bye.
ya.